TruthSeekah and/or its affiliates are not responsible for any strange phenomena that may occur during or after listening to this podcast, which may include the following: heightened senses of awareness, psychic abilities, UFO sightings, alien contact, time loss, out-of-body experiences, ringing in the ears, ESP, lucid dreaming, increased synchronicities, astral projection, telepathy, stronger intuition, levitation, miraculous healings, and/or remote viewing. Please be advised to listen at your own discretion.
Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? To a place to walk on troubled seas, faith to stand when I don't believe. I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come?
You are now locked into the TruthSeekah podcast.
Gargoyles, psychics, everything's ungodly. Dark savage.
Streaming live at TruthSeekah.com.
She's not a Christian.
Give it up, y'all.
Your portal to the paranormal, esoteric, and all things spiritual.
She's tampering in dark sided stuff.
And now, your host, TruthSeekah.
Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm TruthSeekah. This is the TruthSeekah podcast. I'm excited and delighted to be with you guys again. As always, we're going to talk all things spiritual. We talk mysticism, spirituality, and aliens, angels, UFOs. We're going to be talking about that today. The alien deception, how the public has been deceived. We're going to get it in. We're going to talk about it. It's going to be really good, so make sure you buckle up. I want to say a huge shout out to everybody who is watching this podcast, tuning in live with us. I definitely love the live audience and the feedback that we get back in the chat. Go ahead and type in where you're listening to us from today. Go ahead and say hello in the chats, even if you're watching on Twitch, Periscope, YouTube, Facebook, all of those lovely places, D Live, and a whole bunch of other places that I don't even know. Shout out to you guys. Also, huge thank you to all the Patreon supporters. Could not do this without your help. Thank you guys for believing in the work. You guys are co-creators with me to bringing this information to the table. The music and everything that I'm creating, I could not do it without my Patreon partners. Thank you guys for helping me create this stuff. The podcast, the music, the book, everything that I do, I couldn't do it without you. You guys share in that with me. So I'm going to give a shout out to some of the latest patrons within the last week or so. Shout out to Christian. Thank you for coming on, my friend. Let's see here. Comfort Ajiboro. Thank you for coming on. And shout out to Tiger King, who's back with us as well on Patreon. Again, he's one of the ones who comes and goes whenever new music comes out. There's some people who listen to the podcast and really love the guests and the comments and the conversation. And then there's other people who are here strictly for the music. So no matter why you're here, man, shout out to you guys. I want to do a music stream soon. Just do a stream where like I give my top 10 spiritual hip hop songs, top 10 worship songs or something, and just really play all the songs and just hang out with the chat and really show you guys some music that has inspired me over the years that a lot of you probably have no idea exists. And I really love introducing people to other people's work that really inspires me. So with that, I'm going to say a huge thank you. If you want to support, go to patreon.com/TruthSeekah. There you get access to my entire discography of music. You get 200 plus songs. There's a bunch of new music that's on there as well, and I'm constantly adding new music that is available to the Patreon supporters months before it appears on an album or is available to the general public. So you get a bunch of really cool perks. Our Thursday Night School of the Mystics, you get access to that too. Bunch of cool stuff. Patreon.com/TruthSeekah. Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump into today's talk. My guest today is Philip Kinsella. Philip, welcome to the TruthSeekah podcast, my friend. How are you?
Thank you very much, sir, and I'm very delighted to be on board with your wonderful show. Thank you. An honor.
Awesome. We have a mutual friend, Philip Mantle. Had him on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. He's introduced me to a lot of really cool individuals that he works with, and you was one of the names that came across my desk and saw what you were bringing to the table and said this would definitely make for a great talk. So here we are.
That's brilliant. And Philip Mantle is also mine and my twin brother Ronald's mentor. So he's been of enormous assistance and help to us both. So we are grateful to all those esteemed individuals, researchers and authors in this very complex, subject matter concerning UFOs. So yes.
And we're going to talk a little bit about a lot of different topics, and I want
Yes.
to cover a wide gamut with you. But what got you into the interest in ufology, aliens, UFOs, and this whole subculture, which it definitely is? What was your genesis into this stuff?
Well, the beginning was when my twin brother and I were 13 years of age, and we had viewed at the back garden of our grandmother's house. She lived in Middlesex here in England. They had quite a big house. We're in the garden one summer's late afternoon or evening. Can't remember. We remember the event very well, but not if it was late afternoon or evening. But we were witness to a silver orb in broad daylight that came over towards the back tree to the garden and then came over her head. It was completely circular, about the size of a football. There were no markings on it. It seemed heavy. And we asked her, what is it? And she told us that the fairies had come to take a closer look at us. Of course, we realized that was not the truth. But we saw the object moving towards the house, towards the first floor windows, then to the second, and it moved over. And we ran inside to the other side of the house and watched it disappear. And it had been the talk of the family for a while. And the main event that had occurred and got me really involved with this was what people term an alien abduction that occurred in the winter of 1989, and the only abduction that I can recall. There may have been another one. And this led me into the crusade to find out two aspects to the phenomena. I wanted to know whether or not it was true, and that was already relevant. But we are living in a system that debunks the subject. So I wanted to know whether or not one, I was lying, or the system that we serve was lying. And I think we can pretty much guess what side of the fence I was looking at this from. So it was during the event, the rather unusual event in the winter of 1989, that showed me that there appeared to be two aspects to what we call an abduction, an alien abduction. One happens on a very physical level. Another part seems to integrate itself on a very personal level of conscious connection. And, without going too far afield here, we are looking at something that seemingly operates not only on the physical, but also apparent interdimensional hypothesis. And that's where I started to really dig into this research. And I was fed up also with the constant lies from the system, being told constantly that, you're laughed at when you appear on media television or on, talking to people. So I kind of suffered like many people do through this form of ridicule. But today we're finding that more people are becoming more aware of this subject, not just about the UFO phenomenon, but also about the spiritual side, the essence of what we really represent, as opposed to the biological flesh and blood mechanisms with a sell-by date that we've been sold by the system, and everything else is just faith. So this is where my crusade led me. Never would I ever have dreamed that I would be connected with some of the highest minds within ufology. And that is something I totally respect. And our modus operandi is to search for the truth.
So this started with you having this sighting at a young age, and then you had an abduction experience as well?
Yes, that's correct.
Can you go into a little bit more detail about that whole?
Well, it's a little bit long-winded, but I will just say for the record, part of the experience proved to me that the greys, as we call them, and they were the main emphasis of my research because I had experienced these beings, as it were, I was puzzled as to how the process of an abduction occurred. And seemingly it would appear that the individual is taken through solid matter, and why it was that on more occasions than not, the greys have to be in close proximity to the individual that they're abducting. And I began to realize that through the abduction that I had, I started to question how it was that I was being able to be taken through solid matter, i.e. doors. And this is something that stuck for many, many years. And, you know, we get people saying, oh, it's because, you know, they can beam you up. Well, all well and good, but why can't they do that from the craft? Why do they have to be present or in close proximity to the individual? And I believe that what may be occurring is that these beings need some kind of psychic integration, and they need the subject to be in some form of conscious state in order to create that psychic link. So my research then led in the understanding that perhaps we're dealing with something, or a power, force, energy, whatever, intelligence, that is very old. And it's kind of disturbing when you find through research of how many people have had these experiences. And rather like the abduction to me that I discovered way back in 1996, because I have been credited with an article in a magazine that we had then called Alien Encounters. I discovered that the abduction phenomena sat very closely towards the near-death experience. And in this, for example, in a near-death experience, a person goes through walls and doors, they see a light, they go down a tunnel more times than not, they meet loved ones that communicate telepathically. Mm-hmm. And the person is returned back more times than not changed. And in some cases, if they are suffering some terminal illness, it seems that the whole biosphere of their body is completely reconfigured to its correct vibrational level, which means they're healed. The abduction seems to occur on, dare I say this, more times than not on a rather negative level. Although it mirrors the near-death experience, we're finding that the person, again, is taken through walls and doors. They're in the presence of these beings that communicate telepathically. The person has a sense of missing time. That could be because the individual has been taken outside their normal framework of time processing. And the same with the near-death experience, where the person loses or cannot account for time. So this led me into the understanding that through what I had experienced, which I will tell you was quite grueling and quite nasty and embarrassing, if I may use that word, and something I had to live with for a very long time. And because of that shame, because of the experience, I wasn't one of these people to just sit and leave it. I wanted to find out what it was, if there was any form or base of reality to a continuation of these events with other people. And this is what we found. So this is how I really wanted to find out the answer to what the greys are. I know there are other factions of beings, as we're told, but I can only talk from experience. So it was a very frightening experience, and one that I have never forgot, and I can still recall very clearly. May I make a point in saying here that I have never had regression or hypnosis. I remember the events exactly as they had occurred, and I have not added or subtracted anything. But we're still puzzled. We still don't know why, and this is what we're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, that was going to be the next question, just about your abduction experience. Was it something that was fearful and malevolent, yes, or was it something, you know, beautiful and changed your life? Obviously, it changed your life, but it set you on this road, this path. Whenever you talk about, you know, the spiritual connection, something that you keep mentioning, is it more over the spiritual abilities that these entities might have, or the connection that made you open up to become more spiritual as well? Because we are hearing a lot of that people who have had these abduction scenarios or contact experiences, they become more in tune with their telepathic communication with beings and ships and friends, and they know who's about to call them right before they call on the telephone. different premonitions and things like that. Where does the spirituality link in with you? Is it more the spiritual powers that they have, or are you tapping into some of this stuff now as well?
That is a very interesting question, and one that I really value highly. Now, what happened was that even though the experience to me was very negative, in later life, I then became interested in psychic phenomena. And one of the reasons was because I wanted to find what we as humans represent, what our purpose is. And I discovered after, going to see a brilliant medium, as they're called, I would prefer the word interpreter, because they're just interpreting information coming from a higher source that we can't see here, rather like the signals to your mobile phone. You have a physical instrument to catch the signals and download and convert those signals into a language that we can understand. So did the experience change me? Yes, it did. Did it help me? It may well possibly have. I think something happened. I think when all of us go through a very tragic experience, whatever that tragedy may be, something opens up. I think there's more empathy or more understanding. Now, it could be that the experience I had back in the winter of 1989 had somehow opened a part of my mind which was previously closed. And as we know, this is the other subject matter that fascinates me, not just about the UFO phenomena, but also the psychic part, the survival of human consciousness. A little bit strange. It was back in 1996 when I brought forward this theory. And of course, a lot of people now share things, which I'm more than happy to do. But it made me realize something more about the Greys themselves through our consciousness, through our spirituality. I have always believed that when we die, take away all the jargon, that consciousness survives the state of death and it returns to source. And it is feasible to assume that we ourselves have incarnated perhaps more times than once, and not just perhaps on this planet, because we always think in terms of being a human. And one of the things that fascinated me, and I did question, was, did this experience happen to change me deliberately, to change the course of my life going forward? Like all of us individually, we are all important, all special, no matter what we do or what we think. So the Greys kind of like gave me a clue perhaps as to their genus or what they are doing and why they are interested in us as a reproductive species, because we must understand through our own research that the Greys appear to be some type of cloned entity or robotic in nature. That much has been agreed by many researchers. I mean, we have different theoretical applications that we can apply, and I'm open to all forms of speculation. But I must state, I think this subject or the experience may show us more about what we are as humans. And, when we look at the Greys, as they are called, it's like chasing shadows. They come in and they go out very quickly. And certainly their modus operandi is kept secret, or at least they demand that. It's not like they want to come forward and reveal all. And when they do, most times than not, it's lies. So yes, I believe that I wanted to discover not just about the reality of UFOs, but also of the continuation of what we call the soul. Yeah.
That's good. It starts out with one thing, but then it snowballs into a lot more. You thought it was only about the proof of extraterrestrial life, and then it becomes the agenda, and then who am I, why am I here, and a lot of other things snowball. Let me ask you this. Is that a picture behind you of the Jesus arm wrestling Satan? Is that behind you?
Correct.
Okay. So here in the comment section, as we're live streaming here, some people are saying that, and this is definitely from a Christian perspective, that the Greys or all aliens, everything outside of our atmosphere or whatever, they're all demonic fallen entities that are coming here to do experiments, to kidnap people, things like that. Mostly across the board from the Christian perspective. I'm a Christian, but mostly when I got into ufology, it was studying under the Christian, Lynn Marzulli and all these guys, Guy Malone, so many more names. And it was hands down, these are demons. It wasn't until I got into looking into different people who just kind of looked at the research for what it was that I got out of, okay, these are demons. These may be angels. What about the angelic beings that are out there traveling? So do you have a religious connotation with it when it comes to these experiences, the angels, aliens, demons, and all that kind of stuff?
Well, you know, I have the greatest respect for the religious departments, totally. And as I've said before, we must walk very carefully. I know that I've had many people telling me straight out that they're demons. We cannot discount that hypothesis. We have to be open-minded. The only reason that I study them, because one person told me who was religious that you're doing the devil's work. No, I'm not. In order for us to understand something, we must explore it, and not just through religious texts or words in the Bible, which I have read, by the way. It is possible, and if I can take the hypothesis one step further with regards to the Greys and their secret modus operandi, we are finding that the Greys seem to, or appear to be interested in reproduction. Now, for a species that themselves cannot reproduce, that sniffs suspect to me, even back in 1996. And I had what I can only term as some type of revelation in 1996. People call it what they will. It felt like a download. The only way I can explain it was like some kind of revelation, that everything came pouring out very quickly. I scribbled everything down at work on a piece of paper, and I submitted the article to a magazine that took it, the Alien Encounters magazine. And of course, this has applied in my further works in my books later on. But if we look at the Greys, they seem to be a blank canvas. They are interested in reproduction. They are interested in what makes us as humans tick. They don't understand about time, of love, of empathy, of spirituality. It's almost as if they themselves have lost themselves totally to some other cause. Now, we could take the cloned hypothesis a little bit further, which is what is part of my work. And we could assume that because we come through the normal processing of gestation, birthing cycle, we carry the memories from one life to the other, or the soul. I'm not going to get involved with the reincarnational aspects. I think it's important for us to look at all areas of this debate. But one thing that is correct is that, for a species that cannot replicate themselves, they are using humans. And it's possible on a theoretical level that the divine spark of that clone that is not part of the creation process is interested in trying to re-incubate itself into a biological form. If they are demons, and I will say a big if, because I step very lightly, but I also respect all establishments, even though I get attacked and criticized from all sides. You can't win in this game. Yeah. If they were demons, is it possible, perhaps, that they are trying to re-enter into this physical realm through this said hybridization program? Because from our stance, we are spirit, and I've always believed that we are consciousness that is linked, or a soul in a biological form that is designed to walk through this life with an experience and memories. But it could be that another species has hijacked that because they themselves are no longer part of the bigger picture. And of course, you said quite rightfully, when you're dealing with this subject matter, it leads you into some very deep waters and uncomfortable territory, but territory, nevertheless, that we must explore. We have to. That is very important. So aliens from another planet, I'm not so sure. I tend to believe more in the interdimensional hypothesis. Now, when man came into being, when we were created, we have to understand that we are so far removed from the creation here on Earth because we've been allowed to develop. And we know why. We are the sentient life form that's been graced to and be afforded the ability to progress and question, whereas all of nature cannot. But it is there for our services, as it were. But the Greys appear very different. And it could be that they are performing a replication program to try to reestablish themselves back into the loop of creation where they have been damned. So that's what I see with regards to that.
Yeah, so I mean that kind of leads us to the hybrid children and people having all of these stories about going on a ship or entering some type of room with a bunch of children there, and that they carried some of these children. These different stories that you're hearing about. I know there was something that really freaked me out years ago. You may know what I'm talking about because I'm sure you've just been digging all of this. But there was this lady who had a baby like this. There was something inside of her. She said she was abducted by aliens and they put something within her, and she had this baby that looked like some type of little frog creature. I don't know if you remember that at all, but when you get into that, it's definitely become a subculture, especially even within ufology, but it's definitely there.
Oh,
the
yes.
hybridization and people who are carrying alien babies and things like that. I've kind of stayed away from it myself, but
Yes.
early on, definitely scary, definitely weird. You hear crazy stories. Are you familiar with any of that stuff?
Yes, and again, that is uncomfortable territory. I mean, I can only talk from experience. But let's look at the Greys again and how the process they may instigate in the form of an abduction. They're able to bring the person through walls and doors, through solid matter. They take them onto a craft, and I believe what's happening in some instances, they seem to have upped their program. If you look at the 1950s and 60s, the world wasn't as populated as it is today. And in some forms of contact, as we call it, it was done on a very one-to-one level. Although on most of those occasions, there would be a physical part and a part that they can't recall and had to be regressed through memory. If not, sometimes, a little bit sporadic or trying to put the pieces together. So that confirms that the visitors, as we call them, are not interested in reaching out to us or helping us. They have their own agenda. Now, in the process of an abduction, what I feel is happening possibly is that the Greys, from their dimension of awareness, are extracting the real you from your host, as it were, the physical part of what you are biologically. And once you are matched by that frequency, they're able to interact with you. But because the consciousness or soul, for want of a better word, is still attached to its physical counterpart, whatever they do to you there, which is real, will still affect the body. Marks, implants, that type of thing. Now, look at the near-death experience.
So you don't think that the people are taking their bodies with them on said ships and things?
Not all the times. In some occasions they are. If they do, then they're using or utilizing the same process of bringing the molecular structure of the entire you into their full frequency of awareness. And interaction is definitely achieved through this. The UFO could be a reference point. They need a point or a place to bring you to. They can't just take you anywhere. And I feel that the Greys also are able to manifest images very clearly to the abductee. They can even bring the abductee's dead relatives on board. So the Greys appear to be very powerful in terms of interacting with the mind, although it feels to me as though they're trying to understand us on not only a biological level, but also the consciousness, the soul, with these forms or processing of mental instigation. For instance, they bring fear, they will show explosions or the world blowing up. It's almost as if they want some kind of stimuli from the individual, and they may be recording this. So we have to be very careful. Are we dealing with demons? Are we dealing with androids? Are we dealing with clones? Are we dealing with people from the future? That as well as I do, that this sphere is so vast. But my theoretical piece of work, although may be rejected by many, does suggest to some level that the interaction between us and so-called aliens is all about the soul, about what makes us tick, about reproduction. And that is very strange, especially when they want to deliberately, nullify the memory so the person has hardly any recall, in more cases than not, of what's occurred. Now, what does that tell you? And please don't tell me there's a special code in the universe that stops beings from interacting with us. Well, if that's the case, the Greys have broken that already. But the Greys are very old. They've been here for a very, very long time. And as you know, as well as I do, is that the phenomena has morphed. It's changed.
Yeah. Now, it almost seems, I'm getting a picture of the Matrix, but I think more so Avatar, where there's this world that exists that they're not a part of, and they want to assimilate and get within that world. How do we do it? We need to have a, we can do it consciously. Heck, it's almost like if you hack the psychedelic trance state, and our spirits go there, but we're snatched back, we come back here. How do we stay there? Well, we need to become one of them.
Yes, that's
the Greys
right.
need to have bodies. Whether they're putting their spirits within these humans as well. Maybe they just need the shell, and they put their soul that is very ancient. This is where it gets into the demon stuff. I mean, Genesis 6 and Nephilim, and there's a bunch of comments here about that.
Oh,
so
yes.
that's why that theory sticks so much for a lot of people. The Genesis 6 and fallen angels needed bodies and all of this kind of stuff. And it almost seems there is a theory that I've heard and have believed for some time that could be true, that the Greys are these meat suits, these robots, if you will, like you said, but they have created these suits that they have put their spirits in. Now they can animate this body that somebody has created for them, whether it is humans
and
created for them, the government.
Yeah, and absolutely.
The government could have created this, or this could have been something that evolution that they have learned to do, and manipulate particles and matters to such a small level till they were able to create it. And now they're here. Now they're flying around our skies, maybe, or in and out of these dimensions that they've learned to travel. There's so much to it, and that's why the people get with the demon thing. I'm really not with the demon scenario, but at the same time, is this malevolent? Because if let's just say that there is something that their species is becoming extinct, and they have found a realm that they're not privy to yet, unless they have a body. I mean, we would do and are doing the same thing. If it's technology, how do we exist within this technological world? Well, we need to create the technology to do it, and harvest. There's all kinds of stuff going on. So is it necessarily malevolent because they're doing this program?
I think from our perspective, yes, the way that we view things. Now, let me give you another example. You, as I see it, are a natural process of, soul integration. You've come through the womb, the correct channel. You had a mother, and you have a mother, and when you depart this plane, your soul returns back to source. But what if I cloned you in a laboratory? Now, let's just take this question one step further. Let's say I cloned you 10 times. You, when you pass over, not for a very long time, when you pass over, your consciousness will return to that realm. The question of the clones will only have the memory of one single imprint, of one recording. And therefore, when the physical copy dies, is it conceivable to assume that spark of awareness that is not matched by the strength of your soul is lost in limbo? And that if a species has cloned itself to the point of exhaustion, it does not understand or cannot gain access back to what we call creation. And there they have found a world that reproduces. And it's possible that they are trying to understand themselves more through us, or trying to fill in those missing gaps, as it were. So, perhaps from their side, it could be desperation. And because a lot of what they achieve certainly links into elements of the paranormal, because it's like chasing shadows. These things have even been photographed within the ether. And there are always two aspects to us, one physical, one non-physical, the same with your mobile phone and signals. So we have to be very careful. And as I said before, I'm very open to all forms of speculation. I will not pigeonhole myself and restrict myself. The other thing is that, interestingly, is that as a conscious entity as we are, the brain is the instrument that allows consciousness to filter through to this form, memory, soul, whatever you want to call it. But most people are operating on a narrow field of conscious awareness. And it's possible that the Greys themselves has found entry into within our realm through consciousness. We have to think about that, because, the brain is, after all, is an incredible organism. And more times than not, it's shut down through fear or mental subjugation on some level or control. But certainly, I think like astronauts that go out into space, because they're removed from their normal processing of time, they feel changed. And I think that when people have what they call an abduction, they feel changed as well. And this may account for the periods of missing time where memory recall is very difficult.
One thing I always have to bring up is the fact that you don't really hear the term abduction anymore. I'm not interviewing a lot of people who are saying that they're having this happen to them now. Most people, when it comes to UFOs and aliens, for the most part, at least from my perspective, have, they call themselves contactees and experiencers, and they love it. I mean, there's even the CE5 initiative where they're trying to go out and make contact for themselves to figure out what's going on, from moving from being an armchair investigator to instead of them contacting me, the CE5 is me going out and contacting them under the night sky. I've had my fair share of CE5 experiences by myself with groups of people, had amazing experiences out of this world. But when it comes to the abduction term, a lot of people have said that the abduction in the grays, that's kind of been taboo and off limits now, and that has been phased out over the years. I mean, how would you respond to that? Is that something that's still happening? Because obviously from, I guess we would go back to the, late 40s to, I would say 90s, that in the 2000s, late 2000s, I feel like it started to go downhill. You don't hear much about that anymore. What is your response to that?
Well, it's interesting. And I and my brother and a friend of mine, Susan, had performed a CE5 experiment all the way back on the 8th of June, 1998 at Rendlesham Forest in Suffolk. And we actually, people say, I don't believe it. I don't care. We actually, through our wishing or wanting, had viewed a spectacular craft that was triangular with a gap and a circular undercarriage beneath it. It was silent, and it was like a clock, one moving one way, the other moving the other. And as I ran towards it, it's a long story, but it disappeared, like someone switching the lights out. So I do understand we were performing our experiments of CE5, and I do acknowledge that there are good entities. There are angels, spirit guides, whatever you want to call them. Angels are different from spirit guides, obviously, but certainly I think that the application of consciousness is very interesting, and how we may be able to draw in these different levels of reality through a process of sending signals out and getting them back, but not quite how we thought they would come back. So we're studying the application of consciousness, and it is a real phenomenon. It is not something that is just whimsical. It is real. But I think that because we are separated from that vibrational level of integration, that's why it comes in very briefly and then goes out again, because we're not matched by the same density. The greys themselves, yes, there haven't been as many reports of abductions. I totally agree with you. And I also sway also to the side of the experiences. People tend to put people in pigeonholes. I was there myself. I was put in a pigeonhole myself, so I understand and empathize with that completely. So we've got to be careful when we're looking at the subject, because it shows that the phenomena is evolving, and perhaps it's meant to evolve us. It's meant to move us forward into some type of transgressional stage of spirituality, if I use that word. Yeah. But we can see certainly that there's been a lot of changes since the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and into the 2000s. So it has morphed. And of course, as we all know as researchers, the phenomena has also morphed. So it feels like it's always one step ahead of us. And you'll have the division, of course you will. You'll have the negativity, of course you will. But I embrace that because I understand.
Now, what is the deception part of your work? How are we being deceived? Is the government hiding this from us? How is the population being deceived when it comes to ufology, UFOs, and the grays?
Well, that all goes back to 1947 with, as everyone knows, the most famous UFO case of all time. And people roll their eyes up thinking, oh, well, let's just ask two questions about that first of all. And this was the inception of what we call conspiracy. Because if the object had been a secret mogul weather balloon, as was the new terminology some years later, retracting from the balloon hypothesis, then why weren't the military themselves watching it? If it was so top secret, why did they just forget about it? And then some rancher, a wonderful rancher, Mac Brazel, happened to stumble upon the debris. And if it was that top secret, why would you then place fragments of this secret weather balloon on the front page of national newspapers? You know, it didn't make any sense. And we know at that point that the birthing of conspiracy had started. It wasn't the beginning of the UFO sightings. No, there were many, many more before that. But I think something unusual happened where such entities perhaps become into our reality, solidified, and and the rest is history. But the people behind it, I don't think a government. I think the governments our governments, world governments, your governments, our governments, all governments, they're puppets. You know, they come and go. So I believe that the secrets are being held by a very small unit, a clandestine unit within the military establishment, who perhaps themselves don't understand all of it, and usually plant disinformation into the media circuits to sway researchers. But what's also interesting is that I believe that these people, nameless, faceless bureaucrats, are also very interested in researchers and what they're bringing to the table, to see what they know. So it's clear within its inception that they themselves don't have all the answers. But there again, if it was proven that there were such things as aliens and UFOs, how then would they be able to explain this to the public? They couldn't. Even if you said we have UFOs and we have aliens, we have their technology, we have so we've had surviving members that have infiltrated this plane of reality, whatever form they come in. How then are you going to explain that to the public, especially where the abduction phenomena is concerned? And I believe that, this is why it's not as simple as that. You just have to mention on the national news that there's a water shortage or a food shortage or a fuel shortage, and you've got mayhem. So God help, everyone, if they don't understand, because if it's coming from an official capacity, this will shake the very foundation. Of course, we've got some proof already coming forward from the Navy, as you know, but it comes in and goes out. It dies. It's not something that makes the real national news. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Here it is. It's almost done quite in a very teetering way, as it were, a teasing way, and left for you to sort it out, and then no more is said about it. So I don't think we're anywhere near to disclosure just yet. I think all of the good souls like yourself, many other people who are doing the amazing work and following your belief system and what you believe, which is very important, I think that it's good for you guys, all of us, because we're happy doing that. But I think on a major scale, no, we'll have a real problem on our hands, especially where religion is concerned, because that will throw the certainly a lot into the apple cart.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Pope even several years ago, I guess bracing for disclosure, said that if they are real, there are space brothers, and we need to evangelize them and different things like that. And and that's one thing that Philip Mantle was talking about, just knowing that I was a believer. So he it was like, okay, so you judge this as a, that there is a God consciousness, and all of it. It sets up the way that you believe and the way that you interpret, and
yes,
and we read into things. We,
yes.
There's this we try to look for experiences, scenarios that fit our biases or confirm our beliefs. Even though that they may not be true, may not be real. That's just what we do as individuals.
Yes.
I think all of us do that. But to look at the information for what it is, if
Yeah.
even if it contradicts, hell, most of it does.
Yes.
The interesting thing again for me is with the CE5 initiatives and people going out making their own contact. And so And it seems like it'd be something that you would want to take to the next level, because I don't believe that disclosure is going to come from the government.
No.
If it does, I'm going to believe the exact opposite of whatever they tell us it is. And most likely they're going to tell us that they're enemies or something like that, or we're under attack. For me, I think that whether they're the Greys or what type of beings, maybe even the Anunnaki, some would say that the Greys were these gods that created us. Yes, they're coming back and working on us and even upgrading our DNA. Hell, this vaccine is a so-called upgrade to your DNA. It gets very tricky. But I feel like they have been here since the beginning, since we were primitive, figuring out what the wheel was and what fire was. And they've had this advanced technology, and they've been in the underground oceans and in caves and in mountains and some very strange things that they're able to bilocate. But the spirituality for me plays a big role into it, like you were saying, talking about the telepathic communication. And that has been something that I have experienced on several occasions of having a sighting. Something told me, hey, look over there, there's going to be a UFO. And it told me that. I looked, boom, there it is. And there was a jet flying across the sky, and it told me that the jet is flying over here to make me leave my position. They're trying to, get me to leave so people won't see me. And as soon as I seen it, it was during the day. And as soon as I seen the jet headed right towards it, it just vanished. And they wait until you acknowledge them, and they know that you see them. They say hello and they disappear. A lot of people would say that this is the government. Like, all of the UFO stuff is the government.
No.
But when it comes to the telepathic communication, that's where it throws a wrench in the government stuff for me, because it is a spiritual connection.
Of course.
But then they'll tell you that the government has technology where they can plant thoughts in your mind.
Well, this is very dangerous territory, but you will know, you as the individual conscious awareness yourself will know what you are picking up. You don't have all the answers, but you feel it inside. And certainly, going back to your very interesting point, I have always believed that our species had derived from, dare I say it again, extraterrestrial intervention, because you just have to look around and see that we are so weak. We're not adapted to this plane of reality because we shy from our own sun. We don't have enough hair on our body to protect us from the heat. We're very weak. I do believe that a part of the hominid was used to fashion the Adam, as it were, and thus the creation process started. But I always have this romanticized version that the gods then were very different. They were more like us, I suppose. And I believe that the Greys could perhaps been a part of them or a faction of them. We don't know. We can only speculate. But they do come across as like fallen angels, so they haven't done themselves much favors if they want to reach out that hand for complete brotherhood. But I also completely believe in higher beings, because we're not just talking about the Greys here. There are other interdimensionals of reality, and I've had my fair share of those experiences, very enlightening experiences. They have not all been negative. So perhaps our understanding of the way that we try to break it down on a personal level, we can be, completely wrong about the whole thing. So we have to be very careful. But certainly, it makes me laugh, the CE5, and I love it. But we had done that back in 1998, not even realizing that's what it's called today. Well, I know what CE5 is called today, but never knowing that that would be something that people would be doing on a larger scale, because people looked at you back then as if you were lying, or you're completely, you've gone round the bend. But it's so refreshing and interesting from my perspective that all those years ago that, it makes me smile. People say, bring me the proof. Where's the proof? Well, we did this experiment with no cameras, and I don't care. It doesn't bother me. It was a personal thing that both myself and my brother and Susan back in 1998, 8th of June, had witnessed. And there was a latest one, 9th of April 2016, our last sighting of 3 enormous spherical crafts that had been filmed by my niece and were on their way and hung above mine and my brother's head when we were coming back from a late night meal with friends, and that's been recorded. And so whatever proof you bring to the table, people say, oh, I still don't believe. I mean, even if Jesus Christ stepped off a craft, or they'd stone him before he even had a chance to speak, you know.
I just
he'll
told you
get
if the
thumbs
president-
down.
I just told you if the president comes and tells me what it is, I'm not going to believe him.
No.
The majority will, but I just told you I'm not going to believe. We all have our biases, you know.
Oh dear, it's very complex, and you know we have to be very also respectful, because you know I don't have all the answers. I only have a bunch of theories like many other people. And what's also damaging to my credibility is the fact that I proclaim to many that I have had what they call an abduction and been a constant witness to UFOs. So as a researcher and also as an abductee stroke experiencer, it kind of like doesn't put you in good light. But I always say to my comrades that, you know, it's okay. We form a bond and a trust and integrity, and that's what we work with. And we're just trying to find the truth. That's what we're after.
And you just put the information out there and you look at it and find that piece to the puzzle, and eventually it formulates a picture, and there's many different sides and
of course
things going on.
Oh yes, absolutely. And we have to respect that, because you know we don't want to damage someone's belief system, which is very, very destructive to the individual. And it is a process of belief also that shapes our reality as individuals. On a larger scale or larger picture, there is a much bigger force operating beyond this level of reality, I can tell you, and you know that as well. And it guides us, or we feel sometimes guided by this great power, this force that is so amazing and so, I can't find the words, majestic, that it makes us want to be part of that love, that unity, that intelligence of greatness and wisdom and love and strength and power and all these things. So, you know, we're still looking into those areas, and we probably will be for a very, very long time.
Yeah, it's there's exploration, there's beauty, there's creativity, there's imagination, there's awe, there's wonder. I mean, for me, the CE5 or any supernatural phenomenon really, but CE5 is one that I believe is, you know, that you can recreate. Terrence McKenna, you know, the famous psychonaut, said he's, you know, going in on psilocybin and DMT and magic mushrooms, and he would go into the other realms and communicate with entities.
Yes.
He called them the machine elves, and these elves would communicate with him and tell him things about reality and how things work, and he would try to hold on to something and bring it back and write it down, and he would just stay in this, he's going into this other realm, you know. And so
the shamans did the same. They perform these initiations to deliberately force the soul, the consciousness, away from the physical body to enter these spheres. But we live in a system, unfortunately, that is telling us that certain things are not right, only because it wants control and order, and it turns everything round to make it look like you're a bad person. Or go and buy that lovely, great, big, you know, Range Rover, and then you get slapped on the hand for being a gas guzzler. So my argument is they give it in one hand and slap it in the other. You find your happy medium and what works for you to find your answers. As long as it's not harming anyone else and you're not really harming yourself at all, then go for it. I always say, you know, just, you know, it's your journey. Everyone's too quick to point the finger and put you in a little box and tell you that you're wrong and bring you down. No, that's not the way that we see things around here, especially where this subject matter is concerned.
Speaking about the demons again, you know, the angels and demons and that whole thing. One of the things that I think that many religious people get wrong, or they mix the two together, is because we're, you know, you mentioned fairies, that your grandmother said it could have been fairies that were coming to visit or whatever. Like, I feel like there's a lot of different entities, that there are what we would call angels, there are what we would call ascended masters, demons, all types of entities. So I really do feel like the Christian or the religious people are maybe having these encounters with demons, with lower level entities, and tying it in to ufology. And just because they had a being appear in their room and paralyze them and scare them, or whatever they did, a ghost, whatever, it could have been anything. I feel like a lot of people are reading into and saying that it was an alien, that these are aliens, that these were grays or whatever, these malicious these beings with malicious intent were aliens. And I feel like I feel like it's an easy way out versus saying that there are multiple things that they could be.
Yes, yes, there are multiples of dimensions of awareness. We see things in a flat way, like a flat line, and we're cut off from the other dimensions through the infrared spectrum, and there probably are an eternal amount of other realities that coexist or we can connect with on a unique in unique ways, as it were. So, clairvoyance, remote viewing, healing, astral travel, shamanic experiences, it goes on and on. But I respect every single one of them because it's showing us more about consciousness, the soul, creation, and our part as individuals within this grand scheme of life. And I believe that the system that we serve has deliberately hampered our ability to think outside the box and program us on a very limited version of reality, saying that is right, that is wrong. Don't look into the past because this is how it happened. And we're finding now that this is all wrong. So in the future, we will have a new science of the mind. And I believe that there will be centers where people can, just about do what they want, whether it be astral travel or remote viewing or shamanic experiences. I think they're all amazing and they're wonderful. So, I always laugh and joke with people and say, well, I'm always up for it, You've got to have a sense of humor.
Yeah. Oh, you definitely do. You definitely do. But there's, in the end, you have more questions. And I've had, I've had a lot of experiences. I've had, facilitated experiences that it would definitely seem like I was making it up. Like, because people go through life and they never have any. And then here's myself and many other individuals who have had many. Yes. More than one, repeatable, that you go out and you look for them and they happen, you ask for it and it shows up. In the way of consciousness and in the evolution of consciousness, and what you're expecting shows itself to you, it is very interesting as well. But when it comes to ufology, aliens, angels, all of those things, it's real.
This is why I got involved in the spiritual aspect
to you, like even if it's real just to you. That's the interesting thing. Like, because I wanted to ask you, because we're talking about consciousness, we're talking about beings that are able to create or take away matter, pull you out of your spirit, maybe even create if they are creators. Like, what about the connection that we have with them, or just the way the mind and spirituality works? Is that like almost like not the law of attraction, but if you believe it, you created it. Like, what if that that CE5 initiative that you went out, that you wanted it so bad that it appeared? And there's definitely done studies where other people were able to imagine certain things happening, and the law of attraction and manifestation and all of this stuff. Sometimes it takes time. Maybe it's something that's going on with the consciousnness, but in many of the CE5 stuff, it's almost not instant, but it's within a few hours maybe that you can connect. I think maybe it didn't exist until you projected that thought that this ship or this light came and said hello.
Well, the mind, as I said, and consciousness is amazing, and this may be the actual facilitation of the whole of creation, and that in this life we walk through one single life here on this planet. We may go through varied numbers of them, I believe that, but we may not get the full answers until we ourselves return back to source, or to our real place of origin, as it were. And it could be possible that we are projecting this or sending a signal out for it to come in, so that we change or transform on some deeper level of the psyche of the soul. One of the things I will tell you, that through the main abduction that I had in 1989, one of the characters that was in it, a grey, I seemed to recognize him, and it was very scary. And but also, I felt as though they were old. That's the only way I can explain it. I'm not saying he looked old, but they felt old. And there is another researcher, Pierre Sabac, an author, who has kind of like put some pieces together with regards to the abduction that I missed. Because if you're honest and completely everything on the table, he's been able to put a piece to that together. And I was like, wow. And there were also psychic impressions that I had afterwards that I'm still trying to work out. And I'm not saying that this was given by the Greys to me, no, but it's possible that these had come in the form of some conscious opening or awareness that happens to all of us. So we are looking at multiple dimensional entities, realities, and consciousness is the main component that seems to be responsible for this. Interesting, I agree with what you say. Are we creating this on a subconscious level ourselves and it comes back to us? That has also crossed my mind. As also that, we as a genus were created from a blank canvas somewhere, and perhaps the Greys are trying to remind us perhaps of the dangers if we start to clone people. We don't know. I'm not going to go too far down that road because I think I may be falling into some very difficult waters. But certainly the Greys and many other interdimensional beings are a reality. Yeah. They come into our reality temporarily because we're not matched by the same frequencies. So they can only use a certain amount of time or energy to manifest. And that either we're matched by their density or they with us, it doesn't matter. There's an integration process, yes. And it's temporary. But I believe that's something that's really incredible and something that we're still looking into, researching. So, a lot of these things are in You, the Public Deceived, the Grand UFO Deception, along with some amazing accounts as well. And Philip Mantle, UFO royalty, we call him over here in England, has been enormous help. And it's good that we bash out all our thoughts and ideas, but you'll still get people saying, well, you're wrong, or you're barking up the wrong tree. And that's fine. I've got past that point of feeling hurt from the general public, from people who attack you through, media means. Yeah. And it's like, it's okay. I understand because you don't understand, and I really respect that now. So it's okay. People say I don't believe you. I say, well, that's great.
Yeah, you haven't seen what I've seen. If you were there in 1994, you might have a different experience. And there's a level of respect. And the interesting thing for me now, and I notice this coming from religion, of being one who used to proselytize and try to convince people of my way of thinking and the way of living and stuff. Now I'm not really into that anymore, but I do still have a message. I still have ideas that I'm trying to get out, but I don't care if you believe them or not. I'm just sharing them. It's a beautiful thing now because people find you.
Yes, that's right.
I'm not trying to, hey, check out my show, like every now and then, but for the most part, listen. If the Google, if you look up, if you're interested in ufology and you're interested in all of the topics that we cover, the topics that you cover, people are going to find you. You don't have to go out there and sell yourself and try to get the world to believe that this is what's going on. Listen, here is my research, and it's there. And because of the internet, now we just have people from all over the world who resonate with your work, who are interested in what you've devoted your life to. And they just come along and they learn and they share and all of that. And so it's so amazing now that we don't have to really care what people think. You're going to have people who are going to scoff, but there's other people who say, hey, your work has changed my life. And I've had these experiences.
That's wonderful. Yeah. And you know what? I always say to them, if they don't, I say, let me see if I can try and find the zip and pull the mask off. It's always, they look at you as if you say, oh, it's a joke, Yeah. I've got a wicked sense of humor, and you need that because, in a lot of the real tough work that we're challenged with regards to the research and applying the theoretical models that we do is fascinating. And I will continue to do that and until the last breath that I take on this planet that we call Earth. But it is interesting, and I love the people that I connect with. I'm very much, very grateful to them. And, you can only do what you can do. But it's really strange because through all the years and years and years that I've been seeking for that truth, and then, trying to get published by publishers and then getting published by publishers and going forward and then losing the publishers because they pass and finding Philip and other people. It's a journey. And I'm more than happy to put into the lap of the younger generation what we know, because you are the mantle, you carry the mantle, you carry the light, because you're going to be here for a long time when most of us people have left, departed, you see.
Yeah.
And we may have the answers then.
Yeah, I mean, I dedicate my work to many researchers, and I do music. I put a lot of my UFO experiences in my spirituality within my music, and I dedicate the albums to these researchers who are long gone. And the interesting thing, when we do our research on that, there were a lot of people who had a lot to say in the past that we can draw from, whether it is, ufology, spirituality, all of it. And so I definitely like to echo and turn new people onto a lot of old work, that we don't have to recreate the wheel when it comes to a lot of this either. So it's really
brilliant. Wonderful.
Philip, thanks for coming on, man. I really enjoyed this talk. Let people know where they can go to check out your work, your books, and everything that you're bringing to the table. Where's the best place for people to go to check out your work?
Well, Amazon, that's the normal place. We all know Amazon. It's the safest place, and at least we as authors know we get paid from them, as like the other publishers. And I'm on Facebook, and you just type in my name, and there we are. But I want to thank you, because we're all important, we're all special. No one, no one's the number one. We are all linked together, and I think that's the important message to tell everyone, that keep doing your own research and believing what you believe, or it makes it feel right for you. So don't change for anyone. But I want to thank you certainly for having me on your most excellent show, and I'm always very grateful. I never seek it, but I'm more than happy to talk if people want to talk to me.
For sure. Thank you so much, Philip. Really enjoyed it, man. Let's do it again.
God bless. Take care.
All right, bro.
God bless. Bye-bye.
Philip Kinsella, ladies and gentlemen. Good talk. Listen, a lot of different opinions. I'm watching the chat. A lot of different opinions, a lot of different belief systems when it comes to all of this stuff. And what if they're all true? Again, the consciousness thing. What if what you believe shows itself to you? So there's people who would say that these are demons, and what if that is your truth? What if demons are showing themselves to you? What if they are appearing to you? But what if they are angels? What if it is the angelic? What if it is what some would say, what would they say? That they are us from the future. That it is us that is highly evolved, coming back to say hello to ourselves. As in us, maybe not you, but maybe humans who have evolved millions of years later, coming back to say hello. What if they're just people from other star systems, other dimensions? That was the thing with the interdimensionals, is what he kept saying. And there's a lot of people who definitely use that term interdimensional, that obviously the flat earthers use that term because they say space isn't real. Space doesn't exist. It's not what we think it is. So there is no entities living on other planets or traveling from star systems, but they are interdimensional beings that travel here. The avatar thing is very interesting, that we have the ability to go into other realms, that we need a suit. You guys remember the movie Avatar, right? Where they had to create this character to go in, but it wasn't really another realm. Maybe when we get into technology, it's like the lawnmower man. I mean, Facebook, YouTube, personas, that you create a version of you that exists in another realm. And technology, Facebook and all of this stuff, this is the internet. This is a persona. It's you exist as that avatar. I mean, it definitely happens within technology. There are games called Second Life. There are games that people play that are really popular. Second Life is a big one, where people will create an avatar, a character of themselves, and they can rename it. They can make it look however they want, and they can project themselves in that game and live as that character and talk to the AI, talk to the NPCs, the non-playable characters, have dialogue, all that stuff. And then other people can drop into that realm as well. Like other real people can create their character, and then they do stuff. There's people who get jobs on the game. Like they have to, instead of going to a real job, they log into this game and they go and do a job for hours on end. Some of them are getting really realistic to, like, you're a police officer, you're a construction worker, and literally you go to these jobs and you generate income and coins in that game that you can't spend in this world. Like in your real reality, you can't spend that money, but in that game you can build a nice house, you can create a beautiful family, you can have your kids that listen to you and look up to you and respect you. Whatever that, again, you can create the life that you want within that AI, that realm that is not real, but it's real to you while you're there. The dream state, movies, all of this stuff is very interesting. It is a realm. I remember a game called Lord of the Realms, and it was very similar. You know, you were able to go into the game and have these people that you made allies with and pacts with, and every time you go back into that game you get to say hello. There's tons of movies based on this stuff. But what about, again, the Terrence McKenna who goes into the shamanic realm of psilocybin and ayahuasca and all of this stuff, DMT, and they're revisiting friends, they're seeing people in this other realm that they get to say hello to. What about when you sleep? Have you guys ever had that experience? Like when you go to sleep and you dream. Y'all ever been to a place that's familiar? Do you have friends? What about friends when you dream? Like people who show up to you and they're your friends, and you don't know them in real life, but in the dream you know them. And you've had multiple dreams where that person keeps showing up. You have a friend in that dream state. It gets deep. I don't know how I don't even know that it's unethical that if we look at it, you have to walk a mile in their shoes. I don't know how unethical it would be for the abduction stuff to really even be happening. If you wanted to, there are other realms that exist. They don't speak, most of them don't speak English, but I guess the more, we would say, advanced species of aliens communicate telepathically. They communicate without words. Some communicate sign language, pictographs. There's different ways that they communicate. It's interesting to think about. It's just like an ant. How would you, essentially an ant lives in they have their own world. An ant has, you can't speak English to an ant and train it and it knows what you're saying. Again, Philip was even talking about this. What if we drop our cell phones in an ant pile and the ants build around it? They don't even know how to work this technology. Probably even in 1 million years, 10 million years, they would, most likely, they could not evolve to the fact that they were able to even power this thing on and get in here and pull up my Facebook and message my stalkers. Like, it's just foreign to them. They couldn't use it. You can't communicate with them. They exist, and there's something physical. I guess this is physical too, because I always like to tie in the spirituality, the spirit realm, to the biological realm and the microscopic realm, the microscopic organisms that live on your body. You can't talk to them. Hey man, stop fight. You know they're literally fighting one another right now. Like if we go get soap and wash your hands or take medicine, there's just wars and battles going on your body with living organisms that live on you, live in your hair. You know, they live all over your body, and they're living there. You can't communicate with them. You can't talk to them. They can affect you though. So how would you do it? Like how could you to communicate with them? Very interesting to watch those videos of the microscopic organisms fighting one another. There'll be like these little amoebas or whatever, and another one will come, and he's going around eating these little pieces of trash or something. I don't know what they're eating. It's very interesting. It's a world within a world that's happening on you. They go around and they eat these little, like Pac-Man, just eating these little pieces of trash, and a big one will come up and just eat him, and he digests them, and he becomes a part of him. It's crazy. Gut rot, gut bacteria, your gut biome, that all of this stuff is communicating and becoming a part of you. Rap Master saying, yeah, you got to eat healthy. Yeah, because that, just like that organism eats another organism and it becomes a part of them, whatever you eat becomes a part of you. We're getting deep, going from one subject to the next, but you see how it's all connected. But how do you communicate with those entities? You have to become that entity. You have to become a multi-celled organism and shrink down to their level. I mean, it just even ties into religion with Jesus. As people believe that Jesus is God, that God's trying to communicate with us and we can't hear him. He created us, but we don't listen. So he had to become one of us and walk down here with us to communicate. And we killed him. Live right, love one another, stand up for the broken, feed the hungry, and they killed him. So God left his throne, his dimension, and incarnated as an avatar into our dimension so that he can talk to us, so that he can lead and guide and help, and they kill him. What else is, like, what's the difference with the alien scenario? If most people say it's likely we already have alien technology or crashed UFO, we're doing experiments on them. We do it on monkeys. We do it on animals. We're doing it. Our government is definitely running tests on these beings and chaining them up and putting them in cages. So why would they not do it to us? To run tests and experiments on us. Come down and experiment and see what makes us tick, what makes us scared. Yeah, show them images of war, see what happens. Show them their planet exploding, see how they feel. Or they move with empathy. They can read your auric field and your emotions. Man, some of them react this way, others don't care. Some people like it. Some people like it when the planet, we show them a image of their planet being destroyed, and they like it. They hate people. They like it. And so, like, we're getting it. I don't think that from your perspective it was unpleasant. You didn't like it. I was taken out of my bed and brought on this ship, and they've done these tests on me. Look at it. You have to look at it from, you always have to put the shoe on the other foot. You have to put yourself in their shoes and see what's going on. Because I think that it's bigger than just us and the UFO phenomena, alien abduction scenarios, and all of that. Very interesting, very near and dear to my heart. I have a different relationship with a lot of that now. It started out with evil aliens, evil angels, demons, all that kind of stuff, but it progressed into the angelic, Palladians, you know what I'm saying? Beings of light, love, and they vibrate at a higher frequency. You do have fallen entities. Fallen angels are real, but I don't think that they're riding around in spacecraft that they created. Put it that way. Fallen angels are real. How did they fall? If you've read my book, you know where I'm going, but they were kicked out of heaven. It doesn't take too much research to look up and see what heaven is. Heaven is the sky. When you look up at the clouds and the stars and the sun and the moon, you're gazing into the heavens. It's the same words that's used there in the Greek and the Hebrew. Heaven is the sky. When you do the research, and then these angels were kicked out of heaven. If you're kicked out, you don't get to just fly back to heaven when you and create a spacecraft and fly through the skies. They're here on the earth with people. They're here with us. They're not up there. Beauty, benevolence, awe, wonder, creativity, guidance, all of that is from above. If you listen to my music, you know that's a big part of it. So yeah, I'm big into it. Man, thank y'all for hanging out. Thank you for hanging out. I had a TikTok video that was very interesting. That TikTok video went viral overnight. It's interesting that I'll put the same video on all the platforms: Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. I get 20 views, 30 views, 118 views on YouTube. You know, we did the thing where we went out and gave a guy on the side of the road who was in a wheelchair selling candies and Cokes and stuff. We gave him $500, but that was donated from other people. I didn't give him my money. Other people donated so that we can do that. We've done 2 videos already, and they get 30 views, 40 views, you know. But I put it on TikTok last night. Let me look and see how many views it is. I'm saying that because I want y'all to follow me on TikTok. I'm probably about to start using it more. Definitely has more organic reach, and it's pretty fun. But I'm gonna try to look at how many. I put a video up yesterday. Let's see, and it is at 50,000 views. I know it's not gonna focus, but 50,000 views. I made a 1-minute snippet out of a 10-minute video. Very hard to do, but y'all follow me on there. It's kind of blown up, pretty cool. More reach, and it's so weird to me because I haven't had a lot of like easy organic reach in years. I used to, definitely in the early days of YouTube and Facebook and all that. When you built up your page and built up your audience and you put something out, it would let everybody see it. They don't do that anymore. I get 30 views, you know, so it's very strange to have put something out that goes viral. All of my podcasts used to be super viral on YouTube. Like I said, I've been doing this for a long time. Now everybody has a podcast, but I remember putting out YouTube videos and live streams and all that, and I'd get 50, 60,000 views on whack content. Like, it wasn't even, that quality was real bad, all of that stuff. And but it's real, but it's went down over time. It's more crowded, right? Everyone's a creator, everyone's doing the same stuff you're doing now. So to be a pioneer or doing that stuff early on, it's changed over the years. So I don't get a lot of viral videos anymore, you know. So to see that video overnight blow up to 50,000 views is pretty cool. Follow me on TikTok. I may do some more on there. It's pretty creative. TikTok got us through the pandemic, man. It's getting us through the pandemic. TikTok is. TikTok made us all laugh. Made us all focus our attention on other stuff when they're trying to scare us on the television and scare us with the news and millions are gonna die, millions upon millions are gonna die, and they got us all scared. I was like, man, turn the TV off and put on TikTok, man. Let's just scroll and laugh and look at funny cat videos and parents pulling pranks on their kids and stuff. I'm telling you, TikTok got us through the pandemic and is getting us through the pandemic. Follow me on TikTok. That's the platform. Type in TruthSeekah on TikTok. You'll love it. I'm trying to get creative with it. I have a bunch of my songs on there where I go back and forth rapping a couple bars, and other people are duetting it and finishing the lyrics or whatever, like rapping my songs with me. It's pretty cool. So you can duet videos and do that. Bunch of really cool stuff, inspirational stuff. We're gonna keep doing it too. And so if anybody wants to give, because we're gonna create more videos, we've already got people continuing to give. I did one. I wanted to do it. Asked for a donation. We went out and did the homeless video. We gave this dude. We spent $1,000 on a random homeless guy. I put it out there. I wanted to do it. Everybody donated. We made $1,000. And I went out and we wined and dined him. Took him out to eat. Took him to Walmart. Hey, buy whatever you want. He was just traveling through. He was just on the road walking. Hey, you need a ride? Boom. Yeah, jumped in. That's a long video too. I'm going to turn that into a short clip too. You know, people's attention spans are short. They ain't got time to get to the juice or the meat, the juicy part, or the meat and potatoes. They just want it there. So, boom. I'm going to edit that 10-minute video or 20-minute video into a 1-minute video and make a little highlight reel. It's very hard to do, but I'm going to do that. So, the full videos are up. You can watch them on YouTube if you want to watch the full videos. But if not, you can watch the little 1-minute clips too. So, we've done 2 so far. We're gonna do more. People are donating to this cause. If you want to do it, my Cash App, go to my Cash App or my Venmo. But follow me on those other platforms too. So we're gonna do more videos. I had somebody donate a large amount. They want to be with me when I shoot it. So we're just gonna go out helping people, man, making it famous, man. You know what I'm saying? Doing videos that inspire people to do good works. People are, oh, why you gotta film it? Because y'all filming they got a video went viral this week. It's a dude slapping another guy with like a T. Y'all seen that video, right? The guy's calling him the N-word back to back, and the dude grabs a can of tea and wah wah. Millions upon millions of views. Funny. He got what was coming to him, and there's a bunch of other videos of people doing negative stuff that gets viral, that goes famous. Challenges. The condom challenge. You ever heard of that? That was viral for a little while. Kids were doing it. What is it? You take a condom, snort it up your nose, reach in your mouth, and pull it out your mouth. These were challenges that got real popular, that went viral. Stupid stuff. The knockout challenge. What was that? Find a random person, walk up behind them, hit them as hard as you can, somebody you don't know, and try to knock them out. They were doing it to old people. Young thugs going up behind old people, and knocking them out for no reason. Knockout challenge went viral. Guess what? We're going to do beautiful challenges. We're going to make, inspirational videos and make that go viral. We should be doing it, whether you're recording it or not. So, the twisted T. So, do Oculus virgins. What is that? Is that, people for the first time playing? Is that what you mean, Chris? The Oculus virgins, like the first time they play Oculus? Yeah. So if y'all seen that, that's on, I need to put it on TikTok. It's not on TikTok, but my buddy Phil came over the other day, and let me see if I can probably show this to you guys. If you're listening to the podcast app, which most people are listening on the podcast, you're not going to be able to see this, but let me see if I can show this on the video. If that's what you meant by Oculus virgins, first time playing Oculus. What is this called? I gotta fix this stuff. Me and Web. That's not the screen. It's gonna be the other one. So sorry for this, guys. There's Zoom. So that's me. I'll fix this real quick on stream. I'll try to anyway. Boom. Oh. That should be it. Yeah. Okay. For those of you who are listening, you're not really getting to see much, or hear much. But I'm going to show you this video. He said Oculus version. So this is my, I did one with my wife, but my buddy Phil came over, I think the day after Christmas or Christmas Eve or something. Let me see if I can find it. It's my Facebook page. If you're not following me, follow me on Facebook. Right here. This is my buddy Phil. Let me see. I have to change. Here we go.
Hold on, don't hit me, Phil.
Huh?
You're good. Whoop his butt, Phil. Grab something at the bar. You gotta get him off of you first. There you go. Hit him in the jaw. Ooh, he ducked. Ooh, got him, Phil. Grab something at the bar. Pick it up. Wait. Grab something at the bar, Phil. They coming, Phil. They coming. They coming for you. The big dude. Oh, he gonna be hard.
Is that what you're talking about? Because I let him play this, and this is his first time. And then I have one called Richie's Plank Experience or something. And you get in the elevator, and I turned it on for him, and he didn't know what it was. And I turned it on, and I told him to get in the elevator. So he gets in the elevator, and I said, push that little button right there, go up to the top floor. So he pushes the button, and he's in the Oculus or whatever, and it takes him to the top floor. And then the elevator opens up, cha-ching, and he gets out, and he's like way up in this on the skyscraper looking down like he's finna fall. And I was like, and there's a little bitty plank out in front of him. I said, get out and walk across the plank. He said, no. I tried to grab his shirt and pull him. He's just like, ah. A lot of people fall down and do little funny stuff their first time playing it. It's a trip. So anyway, little fun stuff like that. If you don't follow me on TikTok, I'll probably be doing a lot more stuff on there because I'm getting more reach. We do these videos and stuff, and we get 100 views, man. You know what I'm saying? And freaking getting 50,000 views on TikTok. The algorithms, man, they're suppressing a lot of this stuff. Most of my stuff won't even show up in Google. If you look at a lot of my songs, if you try to find a music video, you can't find them. If you try to find, like, you could type in my name and the name of the song, it won't even bring it up. It'll bring you something by Blake Shelton. What the heck? You type in TruthSeekah Flight of the Navigator, and it pulls up Blake Shelton, Friday Night Lights, something. Like, what the hell? Nobody, listen, SEO, all of this stuff should work up. If you're looking for it, why would it give you something else besides the video? It seems to fluctuate. I only think that it is something. I've complained about this a lot. It messes you up. It definitely messes you up. I do complain about this a lot. It sucks, but it fluctuates. So let me see if I can show you here. So we're on my YouTube, and sometimes it works, other times it doesn't. So let's just try a couple. Sometimes I'll get on here and it works. So all of this complaining is in vain. But other times I get on it and I can't find myself nowhere. So let's just, but I have to search for myself. So let's try TruthSeekah. Flight of the Navigator. Flight of the Navigator. Okay, that comes up now. It used to not come up. I had to keep looking for it. Let's see, TruthSeekah. Hopefully they fixed it. Let's see if what is some more of my songs that I got videos too. Let's see, Golden Teachers. Boom. They're looking good. Disciples of the Mysterium. Disciples of the, that's on the official page, so that's working. Let's see. Seems to be working better now. But there was a time where all of this stuff was hidden. Let's see, TruthSeekah, Starlight. Huh, that's great. Love it. Glad I'm proved wrong at this now. But there definitely was a time where this stuff wasn't coming up when I typed in the name of it. Can't hate on that. Can't hate on that. All right, guys. TC Texas says, my brother, I made it. I love you. What's up, man? Twitter is getting a lot worse with the same situation, Illuminous says. Yeah, man, my Twitter game sucks. Always has. I get zero reach on Twitter. Never got anything. Even when my Facebook was popping, like I've been stuck at like almost like 15.5 thousand views. And I don't get any new reach. I don't get any I don't get anything on that. Sucks. There was a time where it was popping. It was popping for sure. Reached a lot of people. But now you got to pay. So with that, I'm going to say peace, y'all. Really enjoyed this. Y'all have a happy new year, man. Stay safe out there. And it's going to be good. So I'll holler at y'all later. We'll do more. We got more coming. Shalom. Peace.
Your well so much higher than mine, so much higher than mine, so much deeper than mine, so much deeper than mine.
Well, that does it for this episode, folks. To hear more episodes of the TruthSeekah podcast, head over to TruthSeekah.com. And if you're wanting to support the show and get rewards, go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/TruthSeekah.